Back in August, on August the 6th, I put on a 24-hour live stream to raise money as a fundraiser for the Shriners Children's Hospital. And it was my big thing that I did this summer, and I just kind of wanted to make this video to just kind of give a recap on it. Maybe this could be useful to anybody else who wants to do a 24-hour stream, a charity stream, as like a thank you to the people who supported the fundraiser. Yeah, just kind of wanted to put this together so I can kind of put a bow on the whole thing and just kind of be done with it. So let's go ahead and start back at the beginning. The idea for this stream actually goes all the way back to my 1-year anniversary, March the 19th, which had been 1 year since I started putting out videos regularly on my YouTube channel. And for that, I wanted to do a gaming live stream where I could just kind of marathon through a game. And so I was going to play Super Mario 64 for about 4 hours. I kind of got talked into playing it to beat it, and that took about 6 hours. And after that was all said and done, I really had a good time, and I started thinking about when is the next time I could do a big stream, a big long stream. And I decided that I wanted to do one on August the 6th, the weekend of August the 6th, because it's the summer, it's my birthday weekend, and so I thought it would be a fun thing personally to do. But I knew I wanted to go for a longer amount of time than I had gone when I did Super Mario 64. And so I kind of decided on 24 hours, and the only way I could justify doing a 24-hour stream was if I was doing it for some kind of charity. And so I decided then and there that I wanted to do it for a children's hospital. And so there were like only two options for me personally that I really wanted to do then. Ones that I knew people who had benefited from them. And I ended up settling on the Shriners Hospital for Children in Portland, Oregon. And so like that's where it all started. I had that idea. And originally I was just going to play games for 24 hours. I didn't have any kind of structure or anything that was going on with it. And that all changed one day when I was sitting around with my kids watching YouTube, and we found this video. Let me find out who it is who made it. So it looks like his YouTube channel is called Half Asleep Chris, and he built 100 Lego sets in 1 week. His wife was out of town. And so I decided, 100 is absolutely out of the question, but could I beat 24 games in 24 hours? I thought that I probably could do it because I had been playing enough games to know like ones I could do really quick, and I was sure I could find some really short games. Originally, I was planning on really kind of cheating the system. There was a few games I ended up doing that were pretty cheap, but like I was originally thinking about doing like Minesweeper or Solitaire, but like these games set on like very easy, and then you could just like blast through them real quick. I decided that I wanted to do that. And so I really kind of came to that decision about 2 months or so before. If I go and look at the history of my spreadsheet, it looks like I created it on June the 6th, just about 2 months before the actual live stream. And so that's when I started trying to decide what games I wanted to play. We really kind of got rid of those one games quickly, the ones that weren't video games. I wanted to be able to beat the video games. So it wasn't just playing 24 games. I wanted to beat 24 games in 24 hours. And so what did that mean? Like I needed to make sure that I could either see credits or I could reach the goal, reach what would be thought of as the end of the game. And so with that in mind, I was able to start narrowing down games that I could play. So for starters, I needed to be able to play games that I had the platforms to play them on. So I had pretty much all of Nintendo covered. I had a lot of PlayStation stuff covered with the PlayStation 5, and then I had my PC. And then I was also going to prefer games that I already owned or had access to through a subscription service like PlayStation Plus. Then I wanted to make sure, and obviously not pick games that were too long, because you had to make sure that I was going to get through the games in the 24 hours. And then lastly, one that I didn't really take into account at first, but I had to make sure the games weren't too hard, that I could actually beat them. Ended up cutting a lot of games and everything, but there were a couple big ones that I had to cut. Eventually, I ended up doing a lot of fighting games because you can, just play through the arcade mode in those and get to the credits. I also had originally a lot of the Mario Kart games in there, but here's the thing. I am not good at Mario Kart, and so it didn't matter. Like, I had put in a lot of time trying to beat Mario Kart, and I was not able to do it. Another big game that I had to cut was What Remains of Edith Finch. This one I had to cut for a different reason because it has a lot of copyrighted music in it, and I didn't want my stream to get muted or anything as I was going through it, and so I had to cut that game. As I kind of went through, I was making my list, and I was using other people's completed YouTube playthroughs and the website like How Long to Beat to try to see if I could put all of these games in this 24 hours. And I knew for sure one game I wanted to do, I knew it would be my big game, was Luigi's Mansion. And How Long to Beat had that one at 6 hours. And so with that in mind, I knew I had to get through these other 23 games in 18 hours. And so I was feeling pretty confident about it. And in that first month, in June, leading up until the live stream, I started to practice these games. It's not obvious in some of the gameplay that you see, because again, I'm not claiming to be good at any of these games, but I really was working towards like cutting time on them. So that way, I could feel comfortable about reaching my goal, because I really, really did not want to, not finish, to not get these 24 games done. And I actually think I may have over prepared in that way, and we'll get to that. But anyway, eventually I got my list all worked out and my times down, and I actually was pretty much done practicing outside of some like maybe 2 or 3 games that I was trying to cut some time off of or just get better at, like Super Mario Bros. I was playing that game up until the day before, just trying to make sure that I would like not struggle too much on it. Once I hit July, that's when I let everybody know what was going on, like what my plan was. I shared it on my social media. I started posting about it every day on everything, everywhere. That's when I hit 500 subscribers, which, by the way, thank you for everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I don't think I've ever said that. And thank you for the support and everything. But anyway, I had reached 500 subscribers, so I could do community posts. So I was posting about the games there, and I was just getting the word out. So when it came to setting the goal for the fundraiser, originally I wanted to do like $500, but that's because I am not usually a real risk taker. I'm like, okay, $500. If it really came down to it, me and my parents, we could probably raise that. But I didn't want that to be, that easy, right? I wanted to stretch and kind of hope for bigger things. And so I did set the original fundraising goal for $1,000. And I knew that would be a lot to try to raise as a really small YouTube channel during a live stream. And so I did want to go and reach out to businesses that I considered to be like nerdy in the area. And I reached out to 30 different businesses. I got a couple no's. A lot of people just didn't get back to me, but I did get some yeses. And I do just want to thank them again right now. In that, I want to thank Moonstone Virtual Assistants, Retro Game Bar, Retro Game Trader, Itty Bitty Inn, and I want to thank the last Blockbuster on Earth in Bend, Oregon. They all donated to the fundraiser, and that was really cool of them. So when it came to to collect the money, I wanted to make sure that people could feel confident in that donating to the fundraiser was going to actually get the money to like where it was supposed to go, to the charity. And it wasn't going to be like something where I would have access to it, because I acknowledge the fact that though I hope people who know me would know I wouldn't take money from a charity, to people who don't know me, I'm just some guy online. And so you should be careful like who you just go handing money out to. Luckily for me, it was really simple when it came to Shriners. They have their own fundraising platform on their site that the money goes directly to them. Like, I don't even have access to it. So that was all actually really easy. I was worried for a bit that I was going to have to like just let people trust me, and that I was going to feel really weird about that. So I was really glad that I didn't have to worry about that at all. Finally we kind of were counting down the days with my posts until eventually I'd revealed all the games I was going to play. And it was like the day before the big stream for me. I was going to be streaming Saturday from 8 a.m. until Sunday at 8 a.m. I was real excited for it. I was not sleeping well. It was like Christmas for me. I just could not sleep. I was so excited. My wife took our 3 kids. They went camping / off to hang out with my parents and everything. They did that because I didn't want to feel like I was neglecting them while I'm like sitting around playing video games. But they were off doing fun stuff too. I was at home. I got prepared. I knew I wanted to have food and everything ready. I had read up a bunch on like tips for how to do 24-hour streams. That's why I started so early in the morning. I was reading some posts that were saying it's like, hey, you're going to be tempted to want to start later in the day. Don't do that because you'll be tired when you start even. And I'm really glad I didn't do that. Also, like, be careful what kind of food you're eating. Nothing too heavy, nothing like greasy or anything. Stay away from caffeine and soda, really, because the sugar is just going to make you crash. And so that's one of the things that was surprised people the most as it went on is like, I only had like half of a can of Pepsi for caffeine going through the whole thing.
I'm really happy with myself. I've only done 1 soda today, caffeine wise. That's it.
And like more than anything, that seemed to impress people that I didn't really drink a lot of caffeine. But yeah, I was scared to crash, and so I just stayed away from that stuff. I ate a lot of honey roasted peanuts, which I know is not the most healthy kind of peanut to eat, but I figured I'd indulge a little bit. Had some bananas, had some breakfast sandwiches, mac and cheese, I think. But yeah, I didn't eat a ton because I also didn't want to be going to the bathroom a lot, right? I didn't want to have poop breaks. So they might going up to go pee because that's fast enough, right? But I didn't want to have an embarrassingly long poop break. Like, that was a legit concern I had. I was thinking about, like, somebody showed up to the stream and was like, what's going on? And someone's like, well, he's going to the bathroom. And then they waited around for like 10 minutes. And we're like, well, I guess I'm not going to watch this anymore. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so then that gets us to the morning of. I woke up pretty early. I went for a walk because I knew I wasn't going to be getting any exercise really the rest of that day. And then at 7:45 a.m., I started the live stream. And then at 8, we got going on the games. Playing on the PC first off. The first 3 games were on PC. Into the Breach. It's a fun strategy game. It was the first game I was playing. It was just like playing a game at any point in time. And I was worried about losing some time on this one because sometimes I don't pay attention to where I click. But luckily that didn't happen, and so it wasn't a big deal. Florence was one of the few games that I actually had never played before the live stream, and it was a lot of fun. I think it started out as a phone game, but it's just a nice, cute little story about this woman who is, just kind of figuring out her adult life and everything, and it's very pleasant, and I recommend it. Papers, Please was the first game that I played that kind of cheated how to play it. Like, no real cheating, but like it got a bad ending on purpose really quickly to say that I beat the game because I reached an ending. I got credits. So that one was fine. Super Mario Bros. We moved over to the NES. We actually was playing on the mini NES. This was a game that I was nervous about because sometimes I can just have a real bad run and I just die. But luckily we got through it pretty quickly. And that was the first like real big hurdle mentally for me. If I can get through that one, then I'll be fine time-wise. Because like I give myself an hour on my schedule for that one, and I ended up beating it in like 15 minutes. So got a lot of time back on that one too. Star Fox, I played that game so many times that one was kind of like the back of my hand. Like it was just fun to go through it. And it's just like a lot of nostalgia. So I love playing Star Fox. I'll play through that one all the time. Street Fighter 2 was added to the list of games for me to play just because it was a fighting game and I knew I could get through it really easy on the easiest difficulty. And yeah, it did its job. It was not a problem. Played through Batman Returns. This was the one game that I was actually like, hey, let's try to go for like a world record, right? And obviously I can't get the fastest time on this game, but I could get in the top 12, and my time is in the top 12. I want to do it again with an actual Super Nintendo hooked up and everything, so I don't have to put emulation next to it on the scoreboard. But yeah, I love that game too. Another fun one. Batman's always good. Donkey Kong Country was another one where it was a hurdle that I needed to clear because, again, I'm not very good at Donkey Kong Country, but I can get through it relatively quickly as long as I don't get stuck on some of those hard levels. Like there's just some barrel levels where if I get in a funk, I'm going to just lose again and again and again. And like it obviously wasn't a perfect run or anything, but I was pretty happy with how it turned out. Then I moved on to the Nintendo 64, and so I played through Smash Bros. There. My Smash Bros. Game is glitched out, which I've read might be because I used a Game Shark on it at some point, but I don't remember. We did have a Game Shark, so it's definitely possible. But played through Smash Bros. Had to play as Mario because he's the only person you can be in our game of it. It was fine. It's definitely the slowest, and those Smash Bros. Games have come a long way. Then I moved on to Smash Bros. Melee. Again, went really good and enjoyed that one. Then we got to Luigi's Mansion, and this was the big one, right? This was the one that I knew was going to take the most time, and it did. But whereas it was projected to be like 6 hours, I actually got down to like around 3 to play. And yeah, I love that game. It's so spooky. If I hadn't played it for the stream, I would definitely get ready to play it right now since it's almost Halloween. But yeah, with that one done, then I was done with the GameCube and moved on to the Switch, Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then maybe the most fun game that I played the whole stream, but the Untitled Goose game. That game is just unadulterated fun. Like you cannot play that game and not have a good time. It's just fun to be so bad. And I forgot to, like, I haven't mentioned yet, but like I had tons of people in chat that like I know, and I'm so grateful to have them around. But anyway, Goose game was fantastic. Star Fox 64 was also really, really good. This was when time was starting to catch up with me though. I think that Star Fox 64 was the last game where like I knew my kids were getting to watch part of it, and people started to drop off from chat, and I'd been sitting playing video games for over 12 hours straight at that point. And so I was really kind of starting to feel it, because just sitting in a chair for that long, I probably should have got up and stretched way more, but I definitely was feeling it at that point. Then I went on to Portal, and Portal was one I had put in plenty of practice in on, and so I didn't really get too stuck on that one. Of course, my friend Carly was giving me a real hard time because like she really likes to play Portal and likes to watch speed runs, and so of course I was not doing that. And then get to Pokemon Snap, and this is, as much as it felt like I was really getting tired earlier, Pokemon Snap is when I really got tired, because it's such a slow, relaxing, just chill game. I knew I was like getting into the early hours of the morning and hoping that at least somebody would stick around in chat. And also at this point, I was really sure that I was going to finish early. I was going to get through all 24 games, and I was going to have like 3 hours left. And I was dreading that as soon as I realized it was going to happen, because of how tired I felt already. And I was like, man, I really would like to just reach 24 and then be like, okay, bye. But 24 hours was more important to me than 24 games. And so make it through Pokemon Snap. And then we moved to the final console. I wasn't going to have to change any more wires, so that was nice. And then this was like the weirdest game that I played. Far Cry 5. You can beat it by doing nothing. You start the game up, you walk to a building, you just stand there for 5 minutes, and then the game is over. It's like, oh, we decided not to arrest the bad guy. Game's over. Now that's kind of weird, like by itself. But then I made it even weirder by turning off all the audio in the game, because there's just a lot of swearing and everything in it that I was like, again, didn't want to get my stream age restricted or any of that stuff. And so I was just like, I'll just play with no sound. And now the upload of that has no sound at all because of the music that I had to go in the background, which I thought was free to use. I got a copyright claim on that, and so they muted that audio. So that's whatever. I was delusional. I barely remember that going on. I have no memory of playing the Stanley Parable. I really like the Stanley Parable, but I have no memory of playing it. Again, one where I just kind of rushed through it. Didn't play it the way it was meant to be played. I'm so sorry, Stanley Parable. Then I got to Limbo. This is a game that you just have to play the way it's meant to be played. It's platforming and everything. I was pretty tired at this point, and it was getting up towards midnight, if not after. And I was really, really, really feeling it. So much so that once I reached the end of the game, I was actually really relieved, because I was like, oh, I think that was like the last big one that I had to deal with. Little did I know that actually a Memoir Blue, the next game that I was going to play, was actually going to be a problem for me. It was one of the few games, again, one of the two games that I had never played before. And it was kind of like Florence, but even less involved. And that's fine for a game, fine for an interactive experience, for telling a story. It is really rough to do at like 2 in the morning when you're desperately just need something to keep you entertained. But I drug my way through that one. Got to Minit, again, another game that I played a bunch. Really love this one. It's where you die every minute and you have to go back to the beginning, and you just are kind of barely like finding new routes and getting new weapons. But anyway, you can beat that game like 15 minutes if you know what you're doing on it. So that one was a lot of fun. Like it was fun to have those games where I had a set goal and I knew I needed to go. Then you get to Grow Home, which is another game where it's kind of a little more meandering. You're trying to connect these rocks to these plants so that they can grow up to your spaceship. And it's, again, really chill, really cool, but the platforming in it can be frustrating, especially if you mess up. And so there were a couple moments like that, but it went good. Then I got to another great game, Astros Playroom, but this is when I really was realizing like how much I was falling asleep, how tired I was. And you can tell, like, if you do go back and watch those videos, every time I fall asleep, I don't know if you can really tell in my eyes, because maybe my eyes don't even close all the way, but I would kind of just be like, uh-oh. And I go, uh-oh, every time. And so that happened like in the last boss of Astros Playroom. Uh-oh. But anyway, I beat that game. Feeling great. Again, that game's great. And then played Gone Home, a game you can beat in like 2 minutes if you know what you're doing. Beat that. And then I did it. 24 games. 24 hours. And then I had 3 more hours to go. And so I'd kind of decided I was going to try to get through Ocarina of Time best I could. And I was like, can I become grown-up Link in 3 hours? And no, I couldn't. I did get through the first 2 temples, and so that felt pretty good. But I was just too tired at that point. Like, I was falling asleep left and right. And then finally it got to the point where people started to wake up. And they were jumping on the stream, and the last bit, I actually wasn't playing any games at that point. It was mostly just trying to stay awake. And we were playing Super Smash Bros. And kind of like not taking bets, but just guessing who would win when the computers were fighting. And that was a lot of fun. And I don't know, it was just a good time. Just a lot of good came out of it for me personally. But then also, I think for the people who were watching it, and I know like the fact that we raised over $1,200 in the fundraiser also is a lot of good. I learned that it's hard to play video games for 24 hours. I think it's hard to do anything for 24 hours straight. And that if you're going to do it, you should probably have people along with you, even more so than just in chat. You should have people stopping by. You got to make sure and have that food, got to make sure and have that water taken care of. And, like most importantly, I think I learned to just go for it. Like I thought it was silly and dumb to do it. And I thought about backing out a lot, especially before I told anybody about it. But I'm really, really glad that I didn't. I'm really, really looking forward to next year's stream and what might change, what I might end up doing. And no matter what it is, I'm sure it'll be fun. And I hope to see everybody there. And I hope that we can raise even more money for a good cause. And so that's what I got. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'd love to answer any questions people might have about doing a 24-hour stream. Just let me know in the comments below and I'll answer whatever I can. Okay. Take care and I'll see you next week. Bye.